21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
There are many different industries for which women are a smaller percentage overall, period, right? That could be packaging, that could be tech, that could be cannabis. There are just so many different industries. And when you work in those industries, sometimes you become almost immune to understanding how few there are. My husband is in technology, and he recently went to a training. He's at NYU. He's doing a program at NYU, and he is a chief security he's a director of cybersecurity. He goes to this session, and there was like 100 people in the room. And I said, "So how many women were there?" He said, "There were 4." I said, "Let me guess, did they all go sit together?" He said, "Yes, they did." And I think that that's really common, right? All of a sudden, you're in all these industries where you're a very small part of that pie, and you haven't necessarily had role models, mentors, people to help you along the way. And unfortunately, I think the mentors that were there 20 or 25 years ago were kind of hard. When I was starting out, the mentors that I had that were women felt like they had to act like men. They would dress like men. They were harder on the other women. They didn't lift them up. In fact, I think a lot of times you almost got pushed down. So as I've been in different industries, particularly packaging for a long time, and worked in other industries, I realized that I fought really hard to get where I'm at. I'm a president of a business group, but I didn't have a lot of female leaders to help me get there. In fact, I can only think of one in 30 years that I had that really helped get me to where I am and gave me great coaching. And as a result, I've realized that I want to be able to do that for other people. And I'm encouraging other women to do that for other people, no matter what the industry is. And I've started networking with women in other groups, other industries, whether that be cosmetics, whether that be cannabis, whether that be packaging, as it's our responsibility to help that next generation come up and be able to get the support, be able to get the mentorship, be able to know that it's okay to manage as a female and act like a female versus having to act like a man. You don't have to act like a dude. You can be yourself. You can still be professional. And it's become a big part of what drives me every day. And I just think there's so many opportunities for women now. And I think there's so many opportunities in different industries, and we can all help each other. So I am in the packaging business now. What I do is I work with companies of every different size, and I manage a team. And we work with companies to help them develop full packaging supply chain solutions that that meet their goals, whether that be being more sustainable, whether that be creating a new brand, whether that be helping, you're in a competitive situation. I mean, there are a lot of different scenarios that we work with companies. I'm really fortunate is that I have somehow ended up building a team that's primarily women. There's 9 of us on our team. and only 3 guys, and I thank them all the time for being in my female-centric team. I'm fortunate that I work for a company that really, I feel more valued and respected than in any organization that I've ever been in, even though I am in a, I work for a packaging company, so it's primarily men. I think one of the hardest things in packaging and print has been that when you are faced with a scenario where you're not respected, where you're treated badly, that you don't know how to respond. My previous company, I had a couple of instances where I had a really horrible sexist situation. I had somebody literally say to me as they were messing around with my compensation that they couldn't understand why it was a problem because my husband had a good job and it wasn't like you needed my money to pay the mortgage. And when it happened, it's I joke it's like kind of getting slapped in the chest and you don't know what to do about it. You don't know how to answer. It's the worst part about that is you have great comebacks as you're in the shower the next morning, right? You're like, oh, I should have said this and I should have done that. The great thing about that is I now know how I would coach myself in that situation. I know how I would coach other women as a whole. And one of the things that's great about where I am now, and I talked about being respected and valued. One of the things that I think is really hard for women, and I've met so many other CEOs, presidents, directors, females, and we have very similar stories of what we've done wrong, right? And I can give you some great ones. Um, Staying in a job too long, staying in a company too long. If you interview any CEO of a Fortune 500 company, most of them will say, "Yep, I did the same thing." Um, Secondly, is not knowing your value, not really understanding your worth. Again, I know so many women who, again, EVP, director, president, whatever they has said that that's mistakes that they made in the past. It's one of the things I love to coach women about. And dude, I am just as responsible for that as anybody else. Another mistake that I've made, that's all the mistakes I've made. Another mistake I've made in my career, and again, I hear this from certain people, is trying to force something to work for too long in terms of somebody who worked for you. It's usually pretty obvious within a month, 3 months, 6 months that somebody's not right for the position. And I'll try too hard to make it work. When the best thing for that individual and the best thing for me and the company is to either move them out, move them into another, or move them into another role, or just say, this isn't working. That's part of your job as a good leader, as a good mentor, is, understanding that. I think those are really, really common mistakes. And again, as a female, leader, those are stories I share. Those are stories I want to help people. And I love connecting people. I speak on a lot of panels, and a lot of times, like if I'm on a cannabis package or a cannabis panel or a packaging panel, there won't be very many women in the room. And a lot of them will come up after me and they're like, I'm looking for financing, or I'm looking to connect it to this person, or how, I need help with this. It's one of my favorite things to do at this stage in my career, because if we can't make this place better than we left it, why else are we here? I was very fortunate to work for a company that put me through something called the Center for Creative Leadership. And it was a fabulous experience. It was pretty intense. I think I answered 10 hours worth of questions. And then people who worked for you, people who were at your level, and the people above you all had to give feedback as well. And it was amazing. And then you fill out all this stuff, and then you go off site for a week, Monday through Friday, and you have no idea, but you walk in this room I think there weren't very many people, 30 or 40 people. You end up, and there was no assignments. You end up sitting at a table of 6, and then you find out that's going to be your team for the week. And the very first thing they do is you get your first report out. You've spent 5 minutes, you introduce each other, right? And the really cool thing is any industry you can think of. Like there was a woman at my table from DirecTV, there was a guy from Mercedes-Benz, there was a guy from there was a military guy. There was in the group, it was super diverse, really interesting, men, women, no, not like more of anything. And they gave this first feedback, and they sent it to you, and they hand it to you, and you're looking at how and this one was how people, I can't remember if it was the people who were, I think it was all different levels of how they think of you in certain situations. There was a guy at one of the tables who started crying because you have no idea how people, like, you may think of yourself in a certain way, but how do people really look at you? And then one of the guys, my favorite story was there was a guy from Mercedes-Benz at my table. He was a big guy. He was like 6'5". And he looked around at everybody and is it okay if I swear on here for a second? He goes, he was really funny. He looked around at guys. He goes, I don't know about you guys, but it turns out I'm a fucking asshole. And it was awesome because it definitely relieved the tension, because it is a big slap in the face when you realize that how you thought you were impacting people around you is completely different than the way that they look at you. And it was a really amazing experience, and it helped me be a better human. It helped me understand those through my whole career, helped me understand other people and how the people that drive you crazy, now you have a better idea of why they drive you crazy, or why you drive them crazy. And I learned a lot about myself. My big thing is I love the term tell the truth as fast as you can. I just don't lie to me, right? I think I literally only have 2 rules for actually probably 3 rules. I have 3 rules in terms of working for me or working with others. And one is just tell the truth as fast as you can. If something bad's happened, that's okay. Just tell me and we'll figure it out. I've had people say to me that they're like, one woman had worked for me for like 3 months, and she called me to tell me she'd lost a really big piece of business and it would be gone in like a year. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll figure it out. And she's like, you're not mad. I was like, you told me, right? We'll figure this out. If you hit it for a year, we have a problem. Work really hard, because if you work really hard, everything will be fine. And 3 is be kind to others. Because I really, I think the internal cell is probably just as more important as the external cell, if you're a salesperson or anything around it. And I realized in that class that I wasn't always good about, I was a pretty new manager, and I thought you were supposed to hide who you are and hide yourself. And I realized that the people who work with you and for you, they want to know you. And now I'm the opposite. I'll tell you anything. So now I'm completely the opposite, but it really helped me in terms of understanding managing people through my career. I had somebody who worked for me at a couple different companies, and I really had to teach her. I was like, you have to remember, because she was always in a hurry, right? She was in a hurry, she's working fast, and she talked to customer service, and she would just blow past them. And I said, you need to ask them how their weekend was. And she said, well, I don't really care. I said, so I said, pretend you care. That's going to make such a big difference in terms of how they treat you, how they respond to you, how hard they work for you, and be kind to them. And it's been one of those big things that impacted me my whole life. And that was actually that class was a really long time ago, and I still have kept my books from it. I've kept all of my notes from it. It helped me understand other people. And if I have somebody who I can tell isn't working very hard, or they're not being very responsive, or they're not always telling the truth, those are the people that drive me crazy. And now I know why. we've been talking about how my beliefs in terms of managing, right, and building culture, and building teams, and everything about that led to me joining the company that I work for now, because everything about that company is building a culture of respect, building a culture of honestly kindness, and that translates in terms of how you treat your clients. I've never worked at a company that has prided itself as much as they have in terms of responsiveness, and that it's a huge part of our culture. We do some great things. We do some beautiful design. We have beautiful proprietary products. We can make miracles happen. But when you get down to that, that's about people, and the people behind that. And I I have partners and clients who literally will say, "Wow," they'll be like, "You guys just, I can't believe you're making this all happen." And the other thing that I like about that model is that it's really a team model. So when we're working with our clients, it's not just me. I have this amazing team of people that I work with. And I view that team as a full extension in terms of working with our clients, whether that being, again, custom packaging design that we turn around really quickly, or prototyping, or making miracles happen in terms of meeting budgets or meeting timelines. None of that happens without having an amazing team. And again, it's by far the best. I joke that it's the best company I've worked for, and I'm sorry that it took so long to find it, but I think that that's probably happens a lot. And the funniest thing is they tried to get me to go to work there for 2 years before I said yes, and that is my biggest regret, is I should have said yes sooner. We didn't have a lot of time to chat about it, but we are doing some pretty amazing things right now in terms of sustainability, sustainable packaging, ocean-bound plastic. I have the opportunity right now to work with really some, Fortune 500 companies, as well as continuing to be a leader in the cannabis industry on almost anything that you could think of. I love the fact that right now, a lot of times when we're working on new brands or new products, I'm in the room with the head of ESG. I love the fact that that's become the norm, because as you know, I'm really passionate about sustainability from my childhood. And I love the fact that that's now part of my everyday being. And I work for a company for whom that's really part of our spirit and our mantra. So I'd love to share more about that. If you would like to learn more about that, you can check out either my LinkedIn, Elizabeth Corbett, or certainly our website, www.pkg.com.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.